Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I first want to start off by putting out a little disclaimer that if you do hear some noises in the background, it's my doggie, Layla. I live in a studio with my husband and look, she moved the camera. And she does not understand when I say to let mom work. Alright, so from where we left off a couple weeks ago, which by the way I had to take a little break just for myself, I mean it is my first time. I mean I have opened up about my disability on my Instagram a little bit, but not to this extent where I go into detail and tell the whole story of how it began. And so it's not that I wasn't ready. I am definitely ready to talk about it. But when I do talk about it, I mean, and I sit down and I think of the whole story through sorry, there goes my dog. So when I do think about it from beginning to end, like up until we're at the point that I am now, I mean, it's a lot of emotions come and a lot of bad thoughts come back to my mind. So I felt like I just needed to take a little break and recuperate and basically get my mindset 100 again, so that I can continue talking and showing and hopefully getting to spread awareness of LGMD. And so where we left off was finally being diagnosed and having to tell my parents. Those were the two people who, besides my husband, who was there during the phone call and during the actual meeting with the two doctors from LA. Besides him, my parents were the second people to me in my life that are like the most important, and they had to know, obviously. And it was a little tough to tell them, mainly because my parents, how can I say? Well, my parents are Latinos, right? They're Mexican. And they grew up, I guess, depending a lot on, because they grew up in Mexico, born and raised in Mexico, depending a lot on like family to get help when anyone got sick. So because, well, the way that they grew up, they didn't have a lot of money to go to the doctor or to, get a consultation, because they had to pay for absolutely every single part. I'm sorry. So I guess I want to say that it was hard to tell my parents, not because they weren't going to understand or they were going to judge me or they were going to think of me differently or treat me differently. It wasn't that. It's just hard because, as a daughter or anyone who cares about not anyone who cares about their parents, but like as a person who cares a lot for their parents' well-being and wants to make them proud and wants to show them they're going to be independent and who they raised them to be, they worry that when they tell them something as, oh, I have a disability, and it turns out it's genetic, the way that I thought my parents were going to take it was, it's their fault that I have this disability because it's genetic. And then they're going to think that because of this disability, like, one, my marriage is ruined, my life is ruined, and my independence is going to be completely gone. That was my thought and the main reason for why it was a little difficult for me to find the words, find the right moment to tell my parents what was going on. And I mean, I think I nailed it. Oh, I'm sorry. Layla. It was me. Okay, this is the first time I'm filming and my dog is in the house, so, but then my dog started living with me. So the other two videos, I didn't have a dog. But yeah, mom life, right? Well, dog mom life. So okay, so yeah, so I feel like those thoughts definitely went hand in hand with what actually happened, because when I told them, they were like, the first thing was like, oh my god, like, and what does Roger think about it? My husband, his name's Roger. They're like, how did he seem like he reacted? Like they sat me down and they both asked me, like, does it seem like, he understands? Like, does he does his does it is did his mind change about you? Did Is he treating you good? Like, just checking up on me. The questions that my parents, by the way, had never asked me before. They only asked me, I think, on my wedding day, like a couple weeks, like, are you sure he's the one? But my mom and my dad, they're not, I mean, they're not even the people you sit down and talk about, sex, or you sit down and you talk about a period or puberty. My mom just was like, you're gonna get this thing and here's a pad and let me know. That's pretty much it. Like, they're a little shy when it comes to those things. I think that with the time they have become more open. I mean, with life, with experience, with me, with my sister and my brother, with the things that we have gone through, they have opened up more. And so I feel like if life hadn't happened, maybe they wouldn't have asked me. But because it did, I definitely didn't get caught off guard by those questions. But it was a little awkward because we really didn't really talk about those things ever. But I understood their concern. They also talked about, like, what was life expectancy, all the questions that you guys are probably asking yourselves, because it's something new. It's something that, again, I said, my family had never heard of. So they wanted to know everything, and they also wanted to know how bad it would get if it does get that bad, And so my mom, like, obviously, mothers, well, my mother at least, she started crying automatically. And like I said before, it is hard for me to cry in front of people, and especially in front of my parents. I never want to be the cause of their pain. And to see her cry like that, for me, it definitely burned a hole in my heart. But I don't know how I managed to not cry as much. I did shed a tear or two and hugged my mother, and I told her that I loved her and I appreciated her and that I was going to be okay. And my dad didn't really cry. My dad has cried probably once or twice in my lifetime that I have seen. But according to conversations that I've had with my mother on the side, apart from my dad, he has, shed a tear too, and has expressed his feelings of sadness towards my situation with her. Him and my mom have a really good relationship when it comes to communication. And I mean, I understand he grew up very different than my siblings and I. The way his mother raised him, like I said before in a couple videos. I think this last video or the first one, I don't know which one. But his mother, my paternal grandmother, she's very, like I said, not cold-hearted, but just, she's a tough woman. She's a tough woman with very little words. And so that was a woman that raised my father, and that had a lot of influence in how he expresses his emotions. So here we go again. Layla. Sorry. Okay, so so the first part was, my independence and what it means for me and what the life expectancy was. Those were the first questions my parents asked. And then it came down to them thinking it was their fault when I said it was genetic. And then my mom has an uncle in Mexico who was a doctor. I don't really know what I think he's a gynecologist, because he was her gynecologist when she was pregnant with my brother. I've never really asked what he specializes in, so I wouldn't be able to definitely say he's a gynecologist, but she consults him a lot whenever there is anything wrong, like with her or my dad or with us when we were little. And so she consulted with him, like, you know, what was going on with me and the results that I have gotten from previous tests and all the tests that they had been doing up to that point. And he kind of nailed it to the point of LGMD. Like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about the doctors over there, but he nailed it. He mentioned it to her first, but he said it might be something else. We just gotta wait, you know? And then, though, the thing was that when I confirmed it to her, she called him and she asked me, you know, what does this mean after having talked to me? She's like, what does this mean for my daughter? Is there anything we can do in Mexico that they're not telling her here? And he's like, no, like there's really not much. You know, there's nothing that has been clinically proven to help LGMD. But then he did say something like around the words of, you know, prima, cousin. That means it comes from you guys. It comes from the parents. And then my mom and my dad were like, well, what did we do? And he's like, oh, it's just a genetic thing that comes from you guys. Both of you guys must have it in your blood, in your DNA, and you guys pass it down to her. You know, like there's not much we can do. We just gotta pray and help her out, you know, help her continue with life. And that stuck with my mom. So when they did confront me about it, like, oh, we feel so bad, I don't know if we've ever told you, but when we actually got married in Mexico, they made us take a test to make sure that we weren't blood related, because that happens a lot. So they wanted to make sure that we weren't blood related so that we could get married and safely have children. And so I am so confused and I am so hurt as to why this ends up being the reason for why you have this disability. If, like, I feel like we made sure, you know, it's a law where we're from to have that blood test done to make sure that we wouldn't pass anything to our children like this. And so my parents were basically blaming themselves, and I told them that although it does come from their DNA, it doesn't necessarily mean that my mom and my dad are related. No, that is not what it means. It does start off like that. I mean, you guys already know probably that when someone does marry like a brother, a sister, or a close relative, an uncle, an aunt, cousin, anything like that, there is a really big possibility of there being some negative effects of a pregnancy between them. And so when that does happen, let's say a brother and a sister, they get married and then they have children. They have two children. Out of those two children, one of them unfortunately does end up having defects or abnormalities, and then the other one thankfully ends up being completely healthy. But it does not mean that they can't be carriers of certain things that they can then pass down, although they may not present symptoms or show anything physically with it. So with that being said, it could go, the root of it can go back way many generations back. And so I had to explain that to detail to my parents so that they would not feel bad, because I know and they know and their family knows they're not related at all, etc. So many things can happen that can produce a child, and then here we go with these mutations in our DNA that can cause these disabilities, these abnormalities. And so we gotta think also like that and realize that when it comes to these kind of disabilities, because again, in the Latin community, I can speak for mine, just Mexican from Michoacan, people always talk, with or without knowing. And so when a lot of the family members heard genetic, they were also saying like stuff like, oh, it's the mom and the dad, or I knew it, or they're this or they're that. And it's like, no, just can you guys like not say anything without knowing the truth? Or if you guys are really that curious, come and ask me. I've been an open book from the beginning. My aunt recently said it. She's like, my mom told her, you know, Soraya posts this and posts that on her Instagram and on her Facebook. And my aunt's like, oh yeah, I know, she posts everything. She's like, no one even tells her to post it and she posts it. And I'm saying this out loud because yeah, it took me a while to open up about this. It took me a very long time, and I've been hurt for way too long, and I don't want to be quiet about it. I understand and I totally respect if you want to be quiet about it, or if anyone out there wants to be quiet about it and is not ready to talk about it and probably will never be ready to talk about it, and that's okay. And that's all I'm saying, is that if it's okay for you, then it's also okay for me, because I respect everybody and everybody's way of coping with their life, and this is the way that I cope with it. I want to bring awareness. I want to fight, even though a lot of the times I'm down, even though a lot of the times I'm not strong, you know, because I'm not. Like, I have to. Sometimes there is absolutely no other choice but to be strong, but there does come a point where you're tired of having to be strong, of having no other choice. You get tired. And for me, sometimes the only way to grab a little more strength is to continue telling my story, to continue putting things out. Why? Because that will bring awareness. What will the awareness bring? That will bring attention. And this attention can get us to scientists taking more motivation into looking for a cure, to looking for possible medications, anything that can help us. And I want to believe that I deserve, you know, that chance. And even if I don't get it, at least I'll know that I fought for something, and that I went through this for a reason, and that I'm willing to share my story with the world to help others, because I have always been that friend who people come up to and can open up and tell their life story. And sometimes I'm thankful for the friends I have now, but at some point in my life, I felt like no one would listen to me, you know, like they could come and they can cry to me and open up to me about everything, but nobody would listen to me, to my story, to my hurt and my pain. And I get it. Not everybody is gonna sit down like I do and listen. But if I can't find them physically here where I live and around the people that I hang out with, then I'll come on social media and I'll talk about it. And I'll spread awareness and I'll spread as much information as I can, because this is life, you know? So after telling my parents that, I took some time. I took some time to then start posting stuff on social media. It did take me a while to open up. It was hard to open up, but once I decided to do it, I felt like that gave me power and strength that I didn't have, and here I am today. I'm not gonna say it took a year, it took 2 years, or it took months. It took a lot of years, but I'm grateful for everything I have learned, and I'm ready to continue sharing. And if you guys like this video, please like and subscribe and click the little notification bell so you guys can be notified when I upload. I appreciate each and every one of your guys' support. Please keep spreading awareness, keep spreading kindness. Never forget who you are and that you are valuable. I just want to put out there that I do, the next two videos, I want them to be more visual. So I feel like I've talked a lot about it. Now I want to show you guys a little bit more about it. I don't know if to start, because there's two that I have in mind. One is basically showing you guys what I can and cannot do with my upper body, meaning mainly my arms. And then the second one would be, what I can and cannot do with my legs. I don't know which one to do first. So if you guys would please kindly leave me a comment below, letting me know which one you guys are a little bit more interested in, so that I can do that one first. That would be greatly appreciated. Besides that, that's all pretty much I have to say today, and I thank you again for watching, and please follow and subscribe. Love you guys.